going to put them on the screen here. And see, it is bringing up Facebook. That's what it says. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining our call here today on a Friday evening. We are going to go deep into Bhagavad Gita chapter number 9, but after these brief prayers to the spiritual master. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripap Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gopremanande Hari Hari Bol. So, which verse are we going to do today?
9.3.
9.3 is close enough.
Oh, it's 2. It's 2 actually.
Is it 2? We are going to do 5 today.
Which one? Oh, yeah.
5.
I keep forgetting that I missed
You
so
missed
many
some
classes.
of them, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, can you confirm that you are able to see? What all are you able to see? Can you see this reading
Yeah.
order?
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
Sukomal and Sutapa, and an easy reading order, nothing to think too much there. And then the confidential knowledge on the left-hand side. Okay? So why don't we go and each of you can read 3 verses at a time.
Okay. The most confidential knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of all of the miseries of material existence. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and is joyfully performed. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world.
Text 4. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Text 5. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my obstinate opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Text 6. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in sky, all created being rest in me.
O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral.
Text 10. The material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fools deride me when I deserved in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme lord of all that be. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In the deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated.
O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form.
But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Shama, and the Yajur Vedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting peace, and the eternal seed.
O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize me, my true transcendental nature, fall down.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live in me. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in the principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Sudras, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me.
Very well. Okay, we'll stop here. Take some reflections, anything that stuck your mind, what you heard or read.
There was one verse where it says about him being a second or something. I don't know which one. Yeah, this one. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second. What does that mean, Mataji?
So, number one, so there are different ways of doing service to the Lord, devotional service to the Lord. So, prior to that, there's the verse, Satatam Kirta Yantoman, right? That they are always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great
Yeah.
devotion, right? They
Yeah.
worship him. Then there's some people are like that, they're bhaktas, and then the other are jnanis. So, in this verse that you're reading, text 15, there it says that others who engage in service by cultivation of knowledge, right? So, they are jnana yogis. So engage in sacrifice. So trying to gain gyan is also a sacrifice, because sacrifice will involve some tapa, right? It will be some austerities involved there in doing a sacrifice, right? So, for example, you have come here to gain knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, right? So you have to skip any fun activities that you could have done on a Friday evening, right? So that's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing some of the fun to be able to understand Krishna. So what he's saying is that some will do it, some will pursue that route of Gyan Yoga, and they will worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second. Like he's the only one. There's no second like him, right?
Oh, as one without a
Without a
second. Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay.
And not the time second, but as
Yeah.
a second.
Somehow I kept thinking only of the time, and I said, how does this make sense?
Yeah. And then he's diverse in many, right? There are many ways, and then in the universal form.
Okay.
Can I just take a few seconds to clarify something?
Yeah, please.
I can speak quickly before I start coughing. What was that about was it those who go to the planet of Indra?
Yanti Deva, 25.
Are
Yanti
they,
Deva,
huh?
Yanti Deva Vrata Deva, 25.
I don't know, but it says
the planet of Indra. Okay, Shina Purne Martha Lokam Vishanti. Okay, yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
So, what was the preface to that? Was it they who worship the impersonal feature of the worship the Lord as an impersonal force, and then they go to what was the thing? What was the why did they go to the planet of Indra?
Because they are seeking heavenly planet. It is their desire. It is their goal. they want, so they have figured out that the life over here in this planet is temporary. It is going to end. And they also have understood that there will be rebirth, right? Now they want to control where they are going to take birth again. So they, towards that end, they will do sacrifices, and so that they can go to the heavenly planet, because they have also learned from the Vedas, right? So they have learned from the Vedas that there is a planetary system, like Bhagavatam tells you everything about the heavenly planets, how opulent they are and things like that. So a soul can get attracted to that and might want to enjoy that. And so they're saying that those who do that, right, so they will do the worship, etc. But what they're doing is that they will be doing worship of the demigods or whoever is the owner of that planet. For example, I might want to go to Swargloka, so I will worship Indra, right? And so then, so they are doing some sacrifice, so their sinful activities will be decreased, that is sure, right? And then they will take birth in the planet of Indra, because they wanted that. It'll happen because in the material world, there are rules of the material world that if you do this, then you will get that. If you do this, you will get that, like that. That rule is there. So they do these sacrifices, so they get that heavenly planet, right? So when they reach that heavenly planet, they have done so much of pious, they accumulated so much of pious credits while they were doing the worship here on this mortal planet. So they will, on this earthly planet, I mean, even the heavenly planets are mortal. So they will collect all that pious credits, and that pious credits will allow them to go to the heavenly planets and continue to enjoy. Now, one thing to remember is that whenever we enjoy, even here in this planet or any planet in this material world, when you enjoy, you enjoy on the basis of your pious credits that you have accumulated. And once you enjoy, then your credits are diminished. So that's why the verse which was following that says that, you know, when they have enjoyed the sense pleasures there in the heavenly planets, right? And then when their pious activities are exhausted, then they will come back to this plane again. They'll come back to earth, right?
So I guess I was just confusing this with the spiritual sky. You know, I was rereading Radhanath Swami's Journey Home, and towards the end, he said that because he was conflicted between the impersonal worship of the Lord and the personal, and so he had asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said they're both essentially the same, except that the impersonalists will go to the spiritual sky, which is the effulgence of the Lord. Right. And then the personalists go to the planet of the Lord Vaikuntha, to serve him, Vaikuntha. So, but then this is not the same as Brahma Jyoti, is it?
This is the same as Brahma Jyoti.
But then I remember you saying that in Brahma Jyoti, you know, people go there for a period of time and then they come back, have to come back.
Prabhupada said that, yeah.
But here he didn't say that. When he was telling Radhanath Swami, he said they're both the same. They both attain the Lord. It's just different ways of looking at it. It's just like the sun and its rays.
Yeah.
And that the rays are a part of the sun, so they remain. They achieve that eternal life. It just depends on the mode of worship, and so whether they remain like the rays of the sun or they actually go into the sun to serve the sun. But he didn't say that they would come back. And he said this is what made Radhanath Swami satisfied, that, you know, there was no conflict between the two paths.
Right. Sometimes a spiritual master will speak only that much at a particular point in time, right? Now, if you listen to even Radhanath Swami Maharaj's lecture, we know that he's not recommending going to Brahma Jyoti, right? He's all about devotional service to the Lord. So depending on the context, the mood, the time when is available, also thinking that, you know, person, I do not know at what stage of life and what age Radhanath Swami Maharaj asked that question, right?
And it got stuck.
Yeah. So then at that point, we are just thinking, okay, let me just let him loose, let him come out of that. Even, you know, by the mercy of a Vaishnava, he will ultimately attain Bhakti Yoga, which happened, right? In his case, exactly happened.
But even the impersonal worship was.
Even the impersonal worship was what?
He had that devotion, except that when he was, I mean, that's what he says as well. Right. Yes, that he still had that devotion. And it was just a different way of looking at it. Like when you meditate, you meditate on the formless. But the devotion was still there. It was still a form of bhakti.
Yes. He was, and the reason why they fall down is because we are inherently personalities, and we are inherently servants, and we like to do service, And in the Brahma Jyoti, you cannot do any service. You're just in a neutral position there. No material sufferings because you have lost your material body. But then no spiritual enjoyment either, because you have not yet manifested your spiritual body there. You're talking about impersonal. God is impersonal. Whatever form you remember, you will also attain that form, right? So they go there. And then after a long, very long period of time, they will get bored and they'll fall down. And so the danger that they try to highlight there is that after they fall down, all that they know is impersonal worship, right? So they will pursue that impersonal worship again. They can go back to the Brahma Jyoti and then fall back again from there, right? So that is why it's very important. And it will be fortunate for them to get association of a devotee who will take them to their bhakti path, right? Like that.
But I'm just wondering if the Brahma Jyoti is an extension of the personality of Godhead, then, why? So it's essentially a part of, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then why would they fall down? Because it's like the wave and the ocean. The wave is a part of the ocean.
Yeah, but because of the explanation that Srila Prabhupada has given, right? That it is not in alignment with your nature. For example, if I were to say that, Aruni, from now onwards, you don't have to do a job. You can just stay at your home forever, but not meet anybody. But you don't have to work at all. Somehow food will appear in your home, you eat it, you go to sleep, eat it, go to sleep. You will not want to do that all the time because your nature is such. You want to go and meet people. Man is a social animal, as they say, right? So when you are doing something which is not in 100% alignment with your nature, after some time you like to get out of that situation. Okay? So that is why, and that explanation is also coming from Prabhupada only. So it's not that those are my explanations. But you can try aiming for Brahma Jyoti if that is something that appeals to you.
I mean, I have this desire to be just completely free, but not to have any thoughts, feelings, or anything, just to be merged into the light.
Yeah, so then that's your
But I don't want to be coming back. I mean, I just want to be a part of the light. That's it. So if the part of the light is attached to the Lord.
Yeah, either you can believe in Srila Prabhupada or you can try it for yourself. Like that, right?
No, but I'm just trying to
or
rationalize
you can pray, you can pray to Krishna. You can pray to Krishna to give you guidance, right? Because only from Krishna that guidance will come. And actually, today's verse is also about this only, that how Krishna makes the impossible happen.
Which is what?
Which is trying to understand the impossible. Right? So right now you are split. You do not know. You have this feeling that, okay, fine, I'm done with the feelings. I'm done with this body. I'm done with everything here. I just want to just be a nothingness there, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know whether that's the right path or not because you're coming to this class, you're hearing this, you heard Prabhupada say that.
I mean, when I read that bit about what Prabhupada told Radhanath Swami, I felt a great weight lift from me, and I was really happy. And then I thought, and it made sense, because if like the rays of the sun are coming from the sun, they're part of the sun, so they're not going to drop off. So it's like that. He made that kind of analogy, I think.
Yes.
So that made total sense.
So what happens is that, what happens is when we like, and this is how the mind plays, if we like something, we will take it out of that context and then we will align with it, right?
But what context?
Because Prabhupada, the context of, Srila Prabhupada explaining that to Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that yes, that is also spiritual, that is also spiritual, right? And it's the same thing. But the same Srila Prabhupada also says and explains the difference between sun, the sun disk, and the rays of the sun, right? When he's explaining mamātmā, Bhagwan, and Brahma Jyoti. The same Prabhupada is saying, right? So now you are in a dilemma, right? You don't know how this seems like a contradictory thing here also, that the same person, Srila Prabhupada, said one thing here and he said something else over there. Now you don't understand. Same thing Krishna is saying. So he says something in 9.4 and he says something which is exactly opposite in 9.5. When we are reading it like that, we cannot understand it on our own. And the reason is that there are certain things which are beyond our intellect. And intellect is all that we have in this material world, right? So when we are stuck in a situation like that, and if we sit down, for example, if you sit down and try to think whether Brahmajyoti is and Krishna are one and the same, if you just think like that, this is something beyond the intellect. So you will just continue to think. So just by meditating or just thinking about something, we might not be able to understand that. So now the next question is with them, how do I understand it? Right? Now Krishna says that I will understand. That is, it is achintya bheda bhed to understand how the simultaneous oneness and difference between things. But when you do devotional service to Krishna, then he will reveal those answers to you. And that is why this chapter number 9 is known as most confidential knowledge. Because it is confidential because it's very difficult for us to understand and comprehend that how by devotional service I will understand all that. Right? It took me 16 years in school and another 5 in college, right, to get to understand some of the principles. And now you're saying just by devotional service and doing diya and doing japa, I will get all those things there. That is he says, paśya yogam aiśvaram, that this is Krishna's mystic opulence. And keep that in mind, that Krishna is our father. Your confusion is whether my father has a form or not, or my formless father and my father has a form, are they one and the same thing, right? But remember, you're backed by a very loving father. So you can always ask your father for guidance in such matters, and he will do that because he's in your heart, right? In the same form, he's everywhere. So he will answer your question. And it's okay, because he will see the seriousness of your intent to understand that, right? You're not doing it just for intellectual pursuit, right? You really want to know, what should I do? So he will answer that question. Does that help, Aruni?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that, the Brahmajyoti is attractive because we can shed all the dirt of this personality, all the accumulated negative tendencies and everything, which we, and then just become one with the light. So that's,
yes, that is
instead
what
of
Prabhupada
going as a
says.
personality to...
Yeah. So if you read Krishna Prabhupada's lectures or listen to his lectures, he says exactly that. He says that, when we think and when we start thinking about why am I miserable, we will come down to the fact that it is this body which is the cause of my misery, right? So the soul is thinking that, so if I shed this body, I'll be done, right? Like this leg is hurting, it has got pus and gangrene, let's amputate that. Sometimes doctor will say, you cut off your leg, you will have relief. So how about just dropping the whole body and getting relief? And so Prabhupada explains that, and he says that, yes, you will get relief, but relief is not equal to happiness. There's a difference between that, right?
No, I mean, I'm talking about if you attain the level of the Brahmajyoti, where you don't have to be a personality, you don't have to feel anything or anything, you're just light, then you don't have all the bothersome, all this. I mean, assuming you're
Exactly.
able to clean
That's what I'm
everything,
saying,
right?
that you don't have the bothersome things, right? But you don't have enjoyment. And if you're okay with that, then Brahmajyoti is there to try.
The only thing is that, I mean, you're saying that you have to come back, so...
Yeah.
Don't go by what I say.
No, you have to come back, Mataji. It says here you will have to come back.
Then
Seek
there's no
guidance.
point in that
Yes,
then.
seek guidance. Seek guidance, because that conviction has to come from within your heart, right?
I mean, not that I don't believe in Krishna as a personality. I don't want to say this because it's being broadcast, but I do know that he exists as a personality. I'm just saying that
you are more attracted to that, and that's okay. You see, the 4 Kumaras, Aruni, they were impersonalists in the beginning. So it's okay. Like, if that's the tendency, it's okay to start that route also. And by Krishna's mercy, then we have that whole story, right? They somehow stumbled into Vaikuntha, and then they saw, they saw Krishna, and then what was it? The smell of the tulsi leaves which were offered at the lotus feet of Krishna, they smelled that, and that brought the transformation in them. So transformations can happen, right? I'm only quoting from the Shastras and the sadhus and the Guru as to what they say, right? And also, but the conviction comes from you. And there's so much of power in prayers.
No, conviction of what?
That you are right. That your conviction that it's okay to be merged into Brahma Jyoti. That conviction, right? So
I guess it's more a feeling of, thinking, if I'm worthy of that much, to be that much a part of Krishna, that's a great honor indeed,
So that's your humility speaking. That is your humility. You're saying that, I'm just good enough for that. And sometimes children will do that. I mean, they will go, the parents say, what do you want? And they'll point, I used to do that, point to the cheapest frock, I want that. And then my mom would go and buy, like 2 or 3 stages higher, like that. So it's okay. It's okay. Everybody has to do their own journey.
Yeah, I guess I'm not, I wouldn't, I see all the competition for seva, this, that, and the other. I wouldn't want to endure that in Vaikuntha, to serve Krishna.
If that is what it is, then that is what it is. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, but ultimately, to reach either, it would take a, very, very deep cleansing and much spiritual polishing. So I guess this is kind of technical at the moment.
Right. Okay, so keep trying there. I hope and pray Krishna gives you guidance, that your doubts get disappeared. And I have Devi Kumari joining us here. Mataji, so good to have you. We are doing chapter number 9, and you have come at the exact right time. We just finished the chapter, and Alani had some questions. We were answering those. So chapter 5 is what I'm going to read, but I want to do 4 and 5 together. Okay? And so, Devi, are you in a position to read?
Yes, Mataji, I'm...
Okay, why don't you read text 4 and 5 together?
Text 4 and 5, okay.
Am I sharing? Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, you are sharing. Hare Krishna. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Text 5. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence, although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere. I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation.
Right? So in text 4, he's saying, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Okay? Let's go and read the purport also from Srila Prabhupada there. We will continue on to read Sukumal Radhe Mataji, if you can do the first 3 paragraphs here, as many.
Is this of text 4 or 5?
Text 4.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through the gross material senses. It is said, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grayam indriye sevon mukhi hu jiva dao swayam eva sfurati adaha. Sfurati, correct? Yeah.
Suratya.
Sfuratya daha. Lord Shri Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance is he revealed. In the Brahma Samhita 5.38, it is stated, Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. One can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, always within himself and outside himself, if one has developed the transcendental loving attitude towards him. Thus, for people in general, he is not visible. Here it is said that although he is all-pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by the material senses. This is indicated here by the word avyakta murtina. But actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him. As we have discussed in the 7th chapter, the entire material manifestation, cosmic manifestation, is only a combination of his 2 different energies, the superior spiritual energy and the inferior material energy. Thus, just as the sunshine is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over creation, and everything is resting in that energy.
Siddhapa?
Am I?
Mataji. Yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but still I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists both in this material world and in the spiritual world are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies. And as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vishuddha-bhṛm idam Krishnam, he is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies.
Okay. Then coming to today's verse, na cha mat-sthāni bhūtāni paśya me yogam aiśvaram bhūta-bhṛn na cha bhūta-stho mamātmā bhūta-bhāvanaḥ. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic meditation, for myself is the very source of creation. Okay? So let's come to bring up the fourth verse also, side by side. Let's do a comparison. And to a new window. Okay. Let me stop. I'll share both the windows here with you so that we see 4 and 5 side by side together. So this is 4, that is 5. This is 5. I'll start sharing momentarily. I'm just adjusting the screen so that we can read them. Okay, coming up. Okay, can you see 4? 4?
Yeah.
And can you see 5 side by side?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So what is he saying? By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Right? And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. All
So
beings
it's a
are in me,
contradiction.
but I am not in them. But everything that is created does not rest in me. Right? So you see, there is a contradiction here with what he has written over here. Okay? And so when and then it says, behold my mystic opulence, although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. So the interesting thing is that we can continue to read the rest of the Bhagavad Gita, but nowhere do we see Krishna going back and saying like, oops, sorry, I said that, I meant that, right? He never, like sometimes in our conversations, we might say, no, wanted to say this and we said that, and then we say, oops, sorry, I meant that, like that. Or sometimes we don't even know till others start asking like, hey, did you really mean that? Like that, or they correct us, or we go back, listen to the recording, and then we say, oh, I said that, I meant the exact opposite, right? So nothing like that comes. So Krishna has made a contradiction, seemingly to somebody like us might think that Krishna made a mistake. But look at that. He's celebrating the so-called mistake, right? There's a fact that there is a contradiction. He's celebrating that contradiction. And what is the celebration that is going on? The celebration is in verse number 9, where he's saying, behold my mystic opulence. Right? And so now this is what it is. It is mystic. And it is difficult for people to understand. For example, when Krishna showed the universal form, right? Now, universal form of Krishna is spiritual or is it material?
It's spiritual. No. Okay. Sorry.
The universal form of Krishna is material. Because, so as we read Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 2, the very first chapters of Canto 2 are talk about the first step in God realization. Okay? So the first step in God realization is when people are at a level where they want to see, show me the Lord, show me God, right? You say there is God, you show me, right? And we can't see God. Because as Prabhupada says, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, he says, Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through the God's gross senses, right? They are not perceivable through God's senses. It says, Athashi Krishnamadi, he quotes that, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Okay? But when a person is at that level where his senses are still material, his senses are transcendental, how can we make him think about God, right? So the first step in God realization is to look at the nature. And once you look at the nature and start using your intelligence to understand and observe that there is some superior intelligence behind this nature, due to which the sun rises at exactly the same time, sets, doesn't run out of its orbit, the seasons come and go, children are born, old people die, like that. You see these cyclical things happening there. You look at a flower, you throw a seed into earth and pour some water into it, and a beautiful plant comes out of it. Beautiful flowers come out, and if you pluck a flower, you see how intricate and beautiful the colors on the flower are, right? And so you start to think that there is something which is more intelligent than I am. That is why towards the first step on godization, you will see that some people who are at that level, they will worship Mother Nature. So they will worship trees and mountains and rivers like that. Or to get the complete idea, they worship the universal form of the Lord, which is nothing but this universe, being depicted in the shape of Krishna. And which is basically saying that the Shudras are the bottom, the Brahmanas are his forehead, the Kshatriyas are his arm, the mountains, the trees, everything in this that you find in the material world fits into that universal form of the Lord. But again, remember what you're fitting there, and it's an imaginary form. There's no such thing as, that universal form has hands and feet and it moves. Just we are depicting that this is what it is, because you want to have proof. You want to use your material senses to understand Krishna. Here, this is the first step. You go and do that. Right?
But Mataji, when Krishna shows Arjuna the universal form, he is terrified and he says, now please go back to your two-armed form. So that's why I thought maybe that was transcendental,
right? Yeah. And the question is that why did Arjuna say, go back to your transcendental form? Is because Arjuna is a devotee of Krishna. He's not at the level of a novice who's saying, you say there is God, show me. He's not at that level. He's at a higher level, right? So Krishna shows that form. And even to see that form, you need a little bit of, some...
No, he gave him transcendental eyes to see it. And then he took it away.
Right? So he gave that. So, so going back to I think is that is where people don't understand that. And so the first step in understanding is like, okay, you go to the universal form of the Lord, right? So what Krishna is saying is that, okay, by me in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. So how does Krishna pervade this universe, right? So we understand that Krishna is there and he expands as Karan Dakshay Vishnu, right? And from the pores of the body, all these universes come out, right? And then inside the universe also he goes. First as Garbhodaksha Vishnu lying at the bottom. And from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, the whole planetary systems come, right? And then he's also there as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, as Paramatma on one planet, the Dhruv planet. Plus he's also there in everything, even in the atoms, he's present there, right? So he is present there in three forms, as Bhagwan, as Paramatma, and then also as his in his unmanifested form. Okay, as Brahmajyoti or Brahman. So now he's saying that, I create this. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. And then Prabhupada points out that in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, we had read that this whole material, all of Krishna's creation is created by his two energies. One is the inferior energy or material energy. Other one is the superior energy, which is the soul, soul, and all the spiritual items which are there. Okay? So that is created. All that creation is there. All that creation comes from Krishna. But it's not that he is necessarily involved in create. They come from him, right? He comes from him, and then he goes and enters. Again, Krishna and Golok Vrindavan, Krishna with the flute. It's not necessarily that Krishna with the flute enters into everything. Krishna in his various forms will enter various parts of this material universe, right? And then he says that in today's words, if you look at the right-hand side, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. So all beings are in me. That is understandable. You see the universal form of the Lord, everything is inside Krishna. Like even if you see Krishna and his expansions, and that is everything is in Krishna, right? But then he's not in them, right? Now when he says he's not in them, someone might ask, well, what do you mean by he's not in them? He's there as Paramatma, he's there as Bhagwan, yes. But then in his 200 form, he's not there in everything, right? And he says now, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. And Srila Prabhupada here gives the example. What does it mean, does not rest in me? So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of, we didn't do the purport here, right, of this?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So let's continue to read. So who was reading it before? I think Devi has to read it.
Yeah.
So the read it, right? Yeah. Devi, can you
Yes.
continue the purport?
Yes, Mataji. The Lord says that everything is resting on Him. Mat-sthāni sarva bhūtāni. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulder. He seems to be very tired holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in the connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. The planetary systems are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are situated on my inconceivable energy as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is the inconceivable opulence of the Lord. In the Nirukti Vedic dictionary, it is said, Yujyate nena durghatshu karyeshu. The Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. His, pers- his person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. In this way, the personality of Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something, simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact. Although he is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire material manifestation, he does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, and everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is a difference between ourself and our present material mind, because he is absolute spirit. Simultaneously, the Lord is present in everything, yet the common man cannot understand how he is also present personally. He is different from this material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. This is explained here as yogam aiśvaram, the mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Godhead. Thank you. So, we also, so a couple of points again that I wanted to highlight from here is that, again, the first thing which I mentioned was, behold my mystic opulence. You see, it's mystic, and you won't be able to understand, and that is what this 9th chapter is about. Is saying that this is guhyatamam, idam te guhyatamam. We started the chapter with this, right? It is a secret. It's an open secret, but people will not get that, right? And then it says, although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and then Prabhupada gave the example of Atlas. Now, Atlas was sustaining, Atlas is a Greek god who is supposed to be carrying this planet Earth on his shoulders. And he seems to be very tired in the pictures that we see. So Prabhupada is cautioning us that we should not think about Krishna like that, as somebody, who is sustaining or maintaining this whole universe. Everything comes from him. So everything is like on his back and he's tired, right? Now, when we are associated with something, when we create something, for example, then we have got an attachment to that. And we might maintain it also, right? And so whenever we have to maintain something, the attachment goes. Like if it's a car, if it's a dress, if it's a piece of jewelry that you're maintaining, you will be thinking about it and, serving it like that. And so he's saying here that he is the creator. He is the, Prabhupada also explains that he creates, he maintains, and then he destroys also. He might not directly destroy, he might ask his agents to destroy, like Shiva, right? So he might do that, but we, as people who create, we do, and people who maintain, for example, we create a child and we maintain the child, but we don't kill the child. We don't destroy the child. But then Krishna is able to do that to this material creation. And why is that? And the reason for that is that he is detached from all this. He has created this material world for our thing. He's there to help us, guide us and all that, but he's not attached. For example, Bharat Maharaj, right? Bharat Maharaj thought that he was maintaining the deer, right? And he got so attached to the deer and to the fact that at the time of his death, he saw that, he thought that, what's going to happen to the deer now that I'm going to die? And he became a deer at the end of in his next life. Okay? So that attachment is there. And that thinking is there whenever I do something for somebody, right? But what Krishna is saying here in today's verse is that, yet everything that is created does not rest in me. So when he's talking, using the word rest in me, basically he's saying, I am not attached to anything like that, right? And and we, on the other hand, do get attached, and we start thinking that I'm maintaining it, I'm maintaining my family, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I'm not in control of everything. Not a blade of grass moves here. But for example, Prabhupada gives a very interesting example of a lizard, right? So he says, if you look at the lizard on the ceiling of a roof, right? So lizard walking on the ceiling of the roof has got his feet, attached to the roof. And the lizard might think that I am holding this roof, right? So our situation is also like that of a roof, of a lizard on the roof. We think we are sustaining and we are maintaining, but we are not maintaining. It's actually Krishna is maintaining it. But the beauty of Krishna is that, he's not attached to it. And that is his mystic opulence. And then that, in order to understand his mystic opulence, like I was saying earlier, that it is achintya. It cannot be understood by our intellect. It is beyond the intellect, right? So when we read these items in Bhagavad Gita, and we listen to commentaries from our acharyas in our parampara, then we should be using our intelligence. We should be using our intelligence to get beyond the intelligence, beyond the realm of intelligence, and to understand and accept that there are things which are beyond my intellect, which means things that I cannot even think about, how they're going to do, how they're going to happen. They seem like impossible or something that I just can't even think about it. Like that, right? So sometimes like, we don't get along well with somebody. And we might, in a casual conversation with a friend, we might just say, oh, I can't even think about how I can spend 5 minutes with that person. You see, that thought, that concept you're saying is beyond your intellect. I can't even think about that, but that does exist. That's why you're saying, I can't even think of how to live happily with this person, like that. So, but that is where Krishna comes into picture. And that is his mystic opulence, that certain things that you cannot think about, if you do devotional service to Krishna, you will be able to understand that. You will be able to get that, right? For example, if we take the birth of Lord Krishna, right? Kamsa was there, and he was saying that, okay, Vishnu, when he's born as a small child, I will kill him, and then God will be done, right? Finished. Like that, he was thinking. And I don't have to repeat the story to all of you, but when Krishna finally is born in the dead of the night, then what happens after he's born? What interesting and unthinkable thing happens?
That all the guards, the prison doors open and the guards go to sleep.
Exactly, right? So this is unthinkable, never happened before, didn't happen afterwards also, right? So these are things that we cannot catch from our intellect, but this will happen, right? And elsewhere you will find contradictory statements that seem to be contradictory because we are choosing to be in the realm of our intellect. We are choosing to be in that plane which I can touch with my intelligence. I'm choosing to be that. For example, there's a famous verse that says, Vrindavan paritajya padam ekam nagacchati. They said Krishna does not even take one step outside of Vrindavan. He's always in Vrindavan. But then what was Krishna doing here 5,000 years ago? Was he there in Vrindavan, or was he here, or what's the deal here? Right? Because they say he came, same self came there, right? That's an achintya thing. It's an impossible thing, right? And we don't understand that. That's why later on in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will say, Avajananti ma mula manusham tanumashritam param bhavam na jananto mama bhūta-bhṛn. He says that those who are unintelligent, they do not understand me. They think that I am just a human form. Manusham tanum ashritam. I have taken the shelter of a human form, human body. This body is material. But they do not understand my transcendental nature. That I am the supreme controller of everything. They do not understand that. Right? On the other hand, Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita earlier, in chapter 4, I think, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. But one who understands my birth, right, and my activities. Tyakta deham punarjanma naeti mameti sarjuna. After he leaves his body, if he understands that. Now the question is that we are talking about all these mystic things that happen. Balram was there in the womb of Devaki, then Balram gets removed from the womb of Devaki into Rohini's Devaki, and then Krishna enters there, and then he takes birth, and all that kind of stuff is unthinkable for us. But these are the impossibles that Krishna does through his mystic opulence. And we are not able to understand that, right? Because we are also at a certain level of being mudhas, not 100% mudhas, but then we don't, right? So a person might tell, sometimes your guru might encourage you to start thinking about the unthinkable by asking you questions like, what do you think is the shape of sound? What is the shape of sound? You can't think about it, right? Because everything that you think about has a form. Like, this is formless. What is the shape of that? And so this is achintya bheda bhed. This is something that is beyond, right? And that's when we agree intellectually to say that there is something which is beyond that, right? Something which is beyond that. And Krishna is always saying that, and Prabhupada gave that example in the previous verses also, that there is a CEO of the organization. When I started my career 45 years ago, there was no internet, there was no cell phone, there was no web, there was no phones also easily available. There were magazines and newspapers. Television was not in everybody's home, right? But we knew that there is a big boss. How that big boss is, how he looks like, no idea. Unless you saw a picture of him in some magazine if you were lucky, right? So you have no idea, but you knew that there is a big boss. And there is a rules and regulations that the big boss has set in that company, and you have to follow them. So similarly, Prabhupada says that although Krishna is the supreme controller, is the big boss, he is the CEO, right? But he is not going to be in the same office as you are. But his presence is there through his rules and regulations. Similarly, Krishna's presence is there in this entire universe, right? But Krishna himself might not be there. So what he's saying is that I am the CEO of this material world. And these demigods, these are my managers. They are going to do everything that is needed for that, to maintain that, right? So he's not directly connected. And since he's not directly connected, these things are not resting on his shoulders, right? So when we understand by hearing, when we understand that Krishna has got all these mystic powers and Krishna can do the impossible, right? He did that. Suddenly everybody falls asleep. Suddenly the locks open by themselves. So you will see that tendency to do the impossible is also in us. Why? Because mame vansho jiva loke, jiva bhūta sanatana. We are parts and parcel of Krishna. So because Krishna wants to and does impossible, we also want to do impossible things. That's why you will see human beings, not possible to go to the moon in this body, are trying to go there. Not possible to overcome death. Large amount of research going on to overcome that. Not able to reverse old age through our means. Still trying to do that. Right? So this trait of Krishna, the achintya trait, his yogam aiśvaram, we also want to be part of his yoga aiśvaram. We also want to do that. And he can think of this, he can think of that. I read the Bhagavad Gita. If you sit down and read the Bhagavad Gita, remove the purports by Srila Prabhupada, read the Bhagavad Gita, we won't be able to understand that because we need a teacher to explain, because this is something which is beyond. And Srila Prabhupada was beyond this material nature, like that, right? So it is important for us to understand that there will be certain aspects of Krishna that we won't be able to understand, and we cannot think. Like Prabhupada tells the story of the frog, right? The two frogs, they both used to live in a well. And then somehow somebody put a bucket of water, and one of the frogs got into the pail. And when the lady took the pail to her home, she was like, ew, there's a frog in it. So she threw it down the gutter. And now the frog started traveling from the gutter. From the gutter, he somehow, joined the river. From the river, he joined the ocean. And when he saw the ocean, he was just completely overwhelmed because there was such a large body of water he had never seen, because he was one who was accustomed to living in a well. Now, somehow or the other, to cut a long story short, he comes back to the well in front of the other frog. And the other frog is very happy to see him back and says, hey, where were you? And he says, oh, you will not believe me. I was in the ocean. He was like, what is the ocean? Like, it's a big body of water. How big is the body? I don't think, how big could it be? And so the frog that was left behind started puffing his body like, is it this big? Is it this big? Is it this big? And then finally, the body burst and the frog died, right? Because he was limited. He was limited. He was trying to measure something which was beyond its limits. So if we try to do that, then we will be in a sorry state as well. We won't get it, we'll be frustrated. And chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita is telling us that if we take to devotional service of Lord Krishna, because he's all loving and giving, he will give that intelligence to us so that we will be able to understand his mystic opulence. Right? So that's the essence of today's verse. So I'll stop here and open for a few minutes for any questions that you may have, or any comments or anything that you like from what we read today.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Devi.
About that universal form, I was just thinking that how it is a Brahma Bhuvana Loka. Which loka is this? I don't remember. But in that, Krishna says that the entire material world, right from the top planet to the bottom, everything is manifested, by him, and then it is annihilated also.
Yeah, bhūta-bhṛt. Yeah.
So in universal form, the entire
Universal form will disappear.
yeah, and they are like temporary. So they are created and then they are
It's a
annihilated.
cyclical thing. Yeah. So so just as we see, like even if you look at our body, if I take my body as a universal form, there is some devastation that keeps on happening all the time, right? You know that we Hare Krishna Siddhapad, thank you for
Hare
joining.
Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
So in the universe, in our body also, you see that the cells are being created and destroyed every minute, every second. New cells are being created, old ones are being destroyed. So there's destruction, there's pralaya happening there, right? And then after some time, there are certain things that are let go and they're not created again. For example, the hair on the head start falling down, and we realize that they don't come back when you reach old age as fast, right? Like that. And then finally, the body itself dies, right? Like that. So similarly, in this universe also, there are different kinds of devastations that are happening. Some are smaller, nitya, daily, happening daily. People are dying. In general, the material world is disintegrating. There could be a stone that falls from the mountain and falls on other stones and breaks them to pieces, right? Like that. Or even if you dig a nail in a wall and look at it after 25 years, a nail comes out of the wall. So there is disintegration happening all along, like that, right? Yeah. And then there is another kind of a pralaya where half of the planetary system, the lower half of the planetary systems, including our planetary systems also, they will be annihilated. Hi, thank you, Arani, for joining the class. And then the final devastation happens when this entire universe is annihilated. And then we all go back into the body of the Karunatakshai Vishnu. So there is devastation constantly happening, which means the universal form also kind of behaves like us. Sometimes a few things are falling here and there. Sometimes some limbs are falling off, and then sometimes the entire body is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Mm-hmm.
If there are no more questions, then can we call it a day here?
Yes, Mataji, if you say.
All right. Thank you so much for joining. We'll meet again on Sunday morning.
Thank you, Mataji.
All
Hare
right. Take care,
Krishna.
everybody.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Kripa sindhu bhyevacha
Vacha
patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namah
namo. God
goprimane